So, good morning, everyone. I'll be talking about the topic, which is kind of a hot potato, reading the elevation maps and the pentagram maps correctly. One moment, please. Can you see my slides?
Yes, Dr. Nitin, go ahead.
So, what I'm talking about here is how to look at the pentagram. What typically happens is, I think pentagram is a very, very phenomenal tool, which can do a host of things for keratoconus, for refractive screening, for phakic IOL planning, even used in glaucoma practice. And there are so many utilities of this tool uh, that I'm not going to talk about everything, but for the scope of this presentation, I'm going to restrict myself for refractive screenings. So a patient comes to you for laser refractive surgery like LASIK or PRK. This is the typical four-map refractive four-map that we see. I'm just going to tell you briefly what you see here, the top left map right here. This is the axial curvature map. This is actually a topographic map of the cornea, very helpful for cornea surgeons like me. I would look at this map and equate it to previous other devices like the OpScan or a procedural disc topographer, or even going back to video keratography. This is truly what the K reading of the patient is throughout the cornea. It's giving you global K readings. The two maps on the right, these are elevation maps of the front and back. And the bottom left map is the corneal thickness map. It's global corneal thickness. It gives you corneal thickness at every measured point of the cornea. On the left hand side, you have this bar here where the first, second, and third column put together are essentially just talking about these one, two maps, where it's telling us about the corneal front K, the corneal back K, as well as the corneal thickness. And this bottom section right here is just telling us about the various miscellaneous things that the pentagram is picking up. So how do I typically look at the pentagram and decide within 10 seconds whether I'm going to go in for surgery or not? How can we make it fast? How can we make it intuitive? I could tell you here that axial curvature is probably it, where you have inferior steepening, cases where you have skewing of the steep axis, cases where you don't have isomerization between the left and right eye, patients that have steep Ks. All of these are risk factors where you need to be more suspicious going in for surgery. I could also tell you about the corneal thickness, how the thinnest pachy could be away from the center, and absolute corneal thickness could be less. These are cases which are worse. In the anterior and posterior elevations, I could give you the values of so many microns above the best fit sphere is a high risk factor. But I don't normally do that because it's very time consuming, and it can be very flustering in a busy OPD when you have to see 10 to 15 pentagrams a day. I usually would take use the help of Bellin to do this for me. So if you look at a typical Bellin-Ambrosio map, if you look at the bottom right here, you have 5 indices: the DF, the DB, the DP, the DT, and DA. And I'm just going to describe what each of these do. The DF is calculated by these 3 maps here, which is essentially just the anterior elevation map. And it's running a program through it to highlight which how much more the elevation is. I'm just going to explain this really quick. Bellin-Ambrosio Enhanced Ectasia Display is a really smart tool. What it does is that it does all its calculations based on the thinnest pachymetry location. It looks at the point of the thinnest cornea, and it assumes that cases of early ectasia will show the maximum change in this area. It takes front elevation maps excluding 3 millimeter area of around the thinnest point and including it, and gives you a difference map. Essentially what it's doing is that it's telling you if the front elevations is something to be concerned about. If it's green, it's all right. If it's yellow, it's borderline, and if it's red, then there's something significantly wrong. The same applies to back elevations as well. So that covers the first 2 indices. The next 3 indices are pachymetry indices. What it's actually using is the pachymetry map. The pachymetry map that we had just seen here, this is the main basis for all of these 3 indices. Now, if you look at these 3 indices, what are they? The the DT, the third index, is just a absolute value of the minimum corneal thickness. If it's less than 490, you'll probably get a yellow. If it's less than 470, you'll probably get a red. And that's very similar to the kind of refractive screening that we do. Below 490, we probably don't want to do LASIK. Below 470, we probably don't want to do even PRK. And these cases are generally high on our suspicion list for leaving out. The DA is the inferior displacement of the thinnest point at the cornea from the center of the scan. And this is a good measure. And this is another pachymetry index, which will tell you if there's something seriously wrong with the pachy. The DP becomes a little more interesting. DP is essentially looking at how quickly the corneal thickness increases from the thinnest location going to the periphery. So if you look at these two meridians, the green one and the blue one here, this blue is the fastest rate of increase of the corneal of the pachymetry from the thinnest location to the periphery, and the green one here is the slowest rate of increase from the thinnest location to the periphery. This graph is actually a mean of the 360-degree meridians, and this is showing that the minimum pachymetry being 544 in this case, as you move 2 mm in a concentric circle right here, it goes up by so much, and by 4 mm it goes up by so much, and 6 mm it goes up by so much. The dotted lines on either side of it are actually the 95% confidence intervals of a normative database, and this has been shown in an exponential way in the percentage thickness increase. Is essentially the same graph, but should this line be falling outside of the 95% confidence intervals, it means that the cornea is not normal. So what is normal for Bell and Ambrosio ectasia display? Bell and Ambrosio had very smartly done something where they had taken up 2000 patients